Going live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the family, to Marfoogle News. If you really want to know some place I choose, you're already here. Welcome to the family, to Marfoogle.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. So I just did it wasn't supposed to be as long as it was, but I did a video over on news on my theory about the possible end of the world. I did want to add something into that video because I hope most of you end up going and watching it. But as far as the article about the asteroid, I forgot to mention that yesterday or the day before, when it first came out, that story, they reported it at a 1.3% chance that the asteroid would hit. If you go look, there's actually, then it changed to 1.6%. Then it went to 1.9%. And today, the final one we covered, it said 2.3%. I don't know why it keeps going up, but if that pattern holds, we are in trouble. But again, I went off my side, and it was live. So it was the best I could do. I had to do it twice because I literally did it basically telling my friend Ilea and my wife about my theory. So it was the best I could do. I hope that you guys enjoy it. I know it sounds totally nuts, but we all have our crazy theories. That's mine. As far as today, we have, of course, tons of really, really crazy news. But again, there is going to be web-only content as well. So remember, the website is actually going to have a ton more news. Updated, U.S. Marine and 3 DOD contractors perished in Philippines surveillance plane crash. A surveillance plane contracted by the Pentagon crashed in the Philippines on Thursday, taking the lives of 4, including a U.S. Marine, 2 defense officials, confirmed by USNI. An aircraft contracted to the Department of Defense crashed Thursday in the Maguindanao del Sur, a Philippine province, taking the life of the 4 people on board. Quote, the aircraft was providing intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance support at the request of our Philippine allies. The incident occurred during a routine mission in support of U.S.-Philippine security cooperation activities. It says, quote, we can confirm no survivors of the crash. There were 4 personnel on board, including 1 U.S. military service member and 3 defense contractors. Of the 4 crew members, the Marine and 3 contractors, were conducting a surveillance mission from a contracted Beechcraft twin-engine Super King Air 350 when the aircraft crashed. So this in itself, a plane crash, again, people are following already because of the whole thing that went down last week, but this is a plane crash in the Philippines with military on board that we're going to help our allies, which are currently in a whole battle with China. And China has said almost every step of the way, do not help any of their neighbors. They are absolutely pissed off about how the United States is getting involved. So, was this truly an accident? Are we going to find out something else? Was this an act of war? Again, we'll talk about this and much, much more on tonight's episode of Marfoogle TV. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
If you really want to know some place I choose, you're already here. Welcome to the family, to Marfoogle News. If you really want to know some place I choose, you're already here.
All right. right, let's get into it. Let's before we move on, let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugel fam. I'm doing just fine.
Now, remember, you have the full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document we're going to talk about, including a very strange one that I think that as more people get a whiff of what is happening, people are really going to start going, what the heck is going on here? NATO taking over a chunk of Ohio, downtown Ohio, and they're going to have restricted access to only authorized personnel and their close family in this area. Why is NATO setting up here? And again, we just talked about yesterday how they're talking about NATO Task Force X, which is kind of funny. We didn't even think of the thing yet. The other day when we talked about Task Force X, I wasn't even in the realm of thinking about Planet X. Did you think about that at all? Like, you know, of course.
No, I forgot about Planet X, but all the X's, and they're, you know, including the ones in Texas.
I know that NATO is not going to be the number one thing going after Planet X, but you guys get my get the drift. It's all available here on the website. Now, Dex, as far as the DOD plane, this contracted plane, you've got defense contractors, and you have at least one military personnel that went down in this plane. If they find out that this is, you know, somehow dirty or it was taken down, that could be a big deal.
Yeah, it could be. It certainly could be. We don't know the cause. It doesn't look, you know, it's not. It was a contractor plane, so it wasn't. But it did have military, you know, support on it. So it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. I imagine there's going to be an investigation, and we'll hear more. Hopefully, they'll let us know. But it does sound like there was no survivors.
Yeah, and in most cases, you know, in a week from now, they could say, oh, we saw an obvious case of, you know, the wind was too high for the plane or something, or the black box showed that this and this and that. But again, you have to question everything, because if it did happen, would they tell us? Or would they call directly China, work something out, and come up with some sort of cover story? All right, let's go over to the map, and we are going to be talking about next, Chagos' deal could allow China. And it's funny that these stories come out. It's weird how some days totally unrelated stories will come out, but it's like it makes you question. It's like pops the idea in your head. Chagos' deal could allow China to shoot down British planes. Dex, isn't it kind of weird that this story comes out right after the other one?
Exactly. And again, this is over islands too. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, obviously, you know, you've got the Spratlys and you've got all of these other things happening. As far as this goes, it's very, very strange, the timing of it.
It is. I mean, look, we've got, you know, everything happening in the Philippines with the islands there. We've got patrols going. We just lost a plane there. Now you've got this other island that's sort of over in the Indian Ocean, I guess, but it's a lone island there. But it's contested, and or it's, I guess, maybe going to be changing ownership, and they're saying that that's going to cause some conflict with the UK and US base there.
So, and if the same thing happens, say a contractor plane or a military plane goes over certain areas which right now sit in international waters, as far as we're concerned here in the USA, there has been constant back and forth of China going places and saying, hey, this is our right as, you know, freedom of navigation, but more so the U.S. and all of our allies going through places that China essentially says is theirs. We say to the world, no, this, as far as the rest of the world is concerned, is freedom of navigation, and this is international waters. But if you did not catch it, about 6 months ago, China put out a map officially. The country put out, and the government put out a map of what they believe is their waters. And if you actually go to the map that they have put out, very, very crazy here, you can actually see that it is essentially taking all of the South China Sea, including their line goes far into the Philippines, it goes into Vietnam, and it goes into Taiwan. All of that ocean is theirs. They don't even consider the other countries, claim to it, as far as when you have the country within so many hundred miles, you have the economic zone and essentially their waters. They have gone over all of those. And they're essentially saying, this is ours now. And they, of course, built the Spratly Islands to also extend that claim. Meanwhile, you have countries like the Philippines. They are desperate to keep their claims, so they've even parked basically a shipwrecked ship and had people living on it 24/7, which has also caused rife between China and Philippines, claiming that, hey, we have people living here. This is our water. So yeah, this is setting up a disaster. And who knows, we may have already seen one, but we just don't know it yet. And then let's see here. And then we have Trump outlines plans for U.S. to take over the Strip. Dex, do you want to go over his more detailed plans compared to what we heard the other day?
Yeah, so he threw a little shade at the Democrat from New York, but he basically said the Strip will be turned over to the U.S. by Israel at the conclusion of its fighting. He said the people there would like, and he said the people there, like Chuck Schumer, would have already been resettled in far safer and more beautiful communities with new and modern homes in the region, he continued. And they would actually have a chance to be happy, safe, and free. Then follow-up later came, I believe it may have been in the press conference, that the U.S. is working with the great development teams from around the world, would slowly and carefully begin the construction of what will become one of the greatest and most spectacular events of its kind on Earth. No soldiers by the U.S. would be needed. So that's a new sort of update, because he did say a while back that they may, a couple of days ago, he said, well, if we need to, we'll use soldiers. So, yeah, that's on top of what he said 2 days ago, which got everybody fired up.
I believe the Chuck Schumer dig is because Chuck Schumer actually went out and caused kind of a more of a chaos storm, because back when they said that they were going to try to freeze part of the Medicare funds or the system, the government system that does Medicare, welfare, all of these things, essentially the media reported it completely off. We talked about this, but essentially the media reported that food stamps were going to stop, that people's Social Security was going to stop. They clarified, and if you've seen the actual White House press briefing, which I highly doubt that CNN is actually showing clips of, or even Fox, who knows, but they essentially clarified, super clarified, that, people would still be getting their food stamps. They would still be getting their welfare checks. They would still be getting their Social Security. But many people did not get that message. Schumer actually essentially said it straight up, said something that was debunked after it was debunked, in a press conference that CNN did clip. They'll show that a million times, but they won't show the correction saying, no, this does not stop your food stamps. If you guys didn't know, over on TikTok and other video platforms, people were having meltdowns. They're saying, what the heck am I going to do? My food stamps are going to stop. Now, I've been on food stamps. I completely understand being pissed off about that. I would be even more pissed when I found out that the media purposely took that information and twisted it just to make somebody look bad. Like, that's screwing with people's livelihoods and things that are, going to get them through the month. So there was a video that went viral, 1.4 million views, of this person that said, the meltdowns that were actually funny. I didn't think it was funny. It was a woman, essentially. One of them was a woman that was having a mental breakdown because she wasn't going to get food stamps for her kids. That may be funny to some, but I think it's manipulation of the people, and I think it's actually really messed up, especially the media that twisted the information that shouldn't have been twisted in the first place. Schumer being one of them. But yeah, as far as the Strip, this is a massive deal. The Strip, from the beginning of him saying, we'll own it, or we'll be responsible for it, the world has basically been on fire. I mean, it's crazy how social media has been all over this. I mean, it is nuts that the fact that we would take the Strip and somehow be responsible, like as if it was a territory or something. Not to mention having that land, if we are there with our military, that opens up all sorts of other crazy doors and scary instances. because other countries and our adversaries are going to think, well, are they going to put missiles there next? Are they going to set up bases? Are they going to, set up defensive systems? It's very, very, very insane what is happening right now, and half of it is being covered. The other half is on the back page. Now, before we move on, make sure to go check out Grid Down. Again, if you haven't seen this company, I wouldn't blame you. It was actually a long time in the making. EMP Shield is going to be included in all of these. These are from the same people that made EMP Shield, again, or at least related to it. So again, these are some of the best solar generators out there. Again, hands down, these things are built like tanks. I actually had mine yesterday here, but I actually needed to use it. So I will put that back and show you guys. The one thing that is really shocking that this does not do justice is how big it is, but yet how light it is. It's lithium iron phosphate, so it is actually a lighter material than lithium ion. Again, it is a very, very portable unit. At the same time, it is just such a unit. Just the main one has 1.61 kilowatt hours, just the main box. And then, of course, if you add the XP, you have over 4,000, almost 4,300 kilowatt hours of power. That is massive. Again, the other thing, too, is this has got a high, not only a high capacity, but a high continuous. High capacity and a high peak, 6,000 peak and 3,000 continuous. It even has a 30 amp port right in the back. So, in fact, this is very timely. Tudika says, building my escape house in Michigan this summer, grid down / solar system included. Any fam members who contract, drop me a line. Much love, Marf, Dex, Mods, and fam. So many people are outfitting their houses and things like this with solar anyways because of this change. One thing about this, though, is that this brand and this is going to be protected against EMP and Carrington level event from the sun, and that it's not going to turn off randomly if we go to war with China. That's another thing that we make sure that all of our affiliates, there's no way that there's going to be any kind of conflict of interest or that there's going to be some sort of computer part in it that's going to have a backdoor in it. So again, this is our safe pick, and they also have the walls. So if you are trying to do a major project like a house or a summer house, then they also have the grid down readout. Go to marfooglenews.com/bugout. Make sure to use the code MARF. Not only do you get a huge discount, but you also give us credit. We're independent journalists. The affiliates that we have very few, and we have not changed them. We have made sure that they are ones that we truly believe that everyone needs, even if it takes a long time to get it. marfooglenews.com/bugout, and make sure to use the code MARF. Dex, let's go over. Israel tells military to draft plan for the Gazans to leave.
So this sounds exactly like it's backing up, President Trump's story about them relocating. So the Israeli defense minister said Thursday that he had ordered the military to draft a plan to allow them to voluntarily leave and move, a move that comes after the proposal from the U.S. So exactly how this is going to play out, we don't know. It sounds like a voluntary stage at first. Obviously the place is decimated, so it's not like there's places for them to literally live, that most of them have been living in camps. So I imagine if they actually have housing somewhere for them, I don't know. We don't know. It seems like a lot of words at this point in time. It's not like somebody's got a 2 million apartment complex on the ocean somewhere there for them to just go occupy. So I don't know, but maybe the details will come as it starts to get closer in time to them actually doing something. Of course, all of this could come to a quick end if the ceasefire doesn't hold up either. Because if they start, activity, then it's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah, and of course, everything could fall apart in a second. And then we have Blackhawk's safety system. This is crazy. So Blackhawk's safety system was, quote, turned off before the D.C. plane crash, Ted Cruz says, as flights report this thing is finally out. I'm just blown away. So if there wasn't enough mystery to this, and again, most people have moved on from this, And it's just very convenient that after most people are not talking about it, now they come out with this and they release the report. Why was the safety system turned off? Now, if you're military or if you're a pilot or if you've actually flown Black Hawk helicopters, which we had, I know as of last year, we had a few of them. Why would you do that? Is that because they didn't want to hear the annoying beeping? Like it's like some sort of, fryer system that's beeping at you? Like, why would they do this? Dex, what are your thoughts? Like, why the hell would they turn off the safety system?
Yeah, it makes no sense to turn that off. I mean, it's the ADBS, the tracking. It would have potentially alerted other aircraft in the area of their presence. And we don't know because the NTHSB has not come out and said this, but obviously the senator was in a private meeting with them, and then he came out and said it. So we haven't heard from the NTSB on that. So we'll see. What
I think
more
it's obvious.
Comes from it, but it's kind of obvious. Yeah. I mean, the other thing was that, technically my understanding from the latest data is that the helicopter was supposed to, as we even showed on that one chart a few shows back, where it was supposed to be a little further over and it didn't take the path it was supposed to. And I believe that goes in line with the air traffic controller saying, do you see the plane? And make sure you steer to the backside, stay go behind that plane as it's coming in which case it would have been fine, but it didn't. It was a little higher than it should have been, and it was obviously in line for the plane as opposed to in line for behind the plane. That original track that it was supposed to be on, it would have cleared the plane, not significantly, but enough.
So, and if you forgot, the call sign was PAT-25, Priority Air Transport, which is that's what it was normally, purposed, right? You have the third person who perished. Their family is saying they don't want their name put out. Many people, even military, commented in the video that we talked about that and said they did not know that could even be a thing. I didn't know that. Dex didn't know that. We didn't know that. And now you have that their location was secret. This was, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, they can misquote me all they want. I think it's obvious. It was a priority air transport of a VIP. That VIP is no longer with us. They are not telling us who it was. Somewhere out there, someone has perished, and now the family knows, and they're not telling anybody. And they turned off their safety system because that was something that would have their location. Other people may think that, this was on purpose, or it started doing it, or it was hacked, or something like that. That could be too. But I think it makes logical sense. This is the system which helps aircraft determine its position. They most likely had everything, transponder, everything off. This to me seems like they were doing something super low key, like super secret. And they had a priority VIP on board. And that priority VIP just got taken out somehow, or something happened, or maybe it's a matter of national security to where if our adversaries know that this person is no longer with us, who even knows if it is a female, it could be a male or female. What if it is a national security issue that they're even gone? Just my thoughts. What are your guys' thoughts on it? It was priority air transport, which is usually reserved for VIPs. The system which determines the position was off. The safety systems were off. That to me sounds like they were doing something on the super, super low. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then Department of Government Efficiency representative reportedly visits Atlanta-based, you know what? And this is a very sensitive one no matter what year we're in. So the agency, the three-letter agency that essentially responds to the worst outbreaks, is now getting the fine-tooth comb. Now the DOGE is going through this entire thing. And this, I think, might actually result in some very scary things. Like, what if they go in there and say, there's all this money spent on this, but no money on this? Or, they've got a lot of unsafe conditions. There's money that was put somewhere else where it should be put into, preventing the escape of something. If the DOGE is searching this office, the starts with a C and ends with a DC, then there might be some news in the next week. It says the union president for workers at the Center and Prevention tells 11 Alive that some employees with the agency claim Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk, has been to the Atlanta headquarters, and another source told Alive the representative had visited. So, and some have actually said that they have stopped by multiple times. So I don't know which one to believe, but either way, at least it looks like there's a verified visit to this office, right? I wonder what things could come out of this. Like, Dex, we could honestly see that, one, that things aren't safe, like the money that they said they were sending to this office wasn't going where it should have, or they could find they're doing research that is billions of dollars that we shouldn't be doing. Like, you know, what else are they going to find?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, the part of it is money that they're looking at, and I think the other thing is that the hiring practices that is, you know, that has been all of the news. I think that's part of one of the things they look for right away, because it's easy money. Like, there's already a directive to say you can't do that anymore. So if they can go find that, then they can make sure that it's shut off. And I think that may be part of it, because that's why we keep seeing it. That come up in all of the actions. But look, everywhere they've turned, they're finding massive amounts of money. And that shouldn't be shocking to us to think that our bureaucracies have had, you know, this kind of problem. So
one thing that bothers me is, like, in 4 years has flown by. I mean, think about if you watched that 2019 video I showed over on the other thing. It's like, it's already been 6 years since that, right? 4 years flies by. You know, a lot of people are praising the fact that they're getting rid of this kind of hiring, but what happens in 3.5 years or 4 years? Like, is all of it going to be coming back? Every 4 years, are we going to do this rotation of, like, where this party does this and changes absolutely everything, and then this party comes in and then undoes it? You know, like, what's life going to be like now that we've moved forward into this thing where we can't go backwards into the complete dividing of our party system and even our country, our people? People are literally split down the middle. I mean, well, I shouldn't say literally, but they're split down the middle. It's like 51%, 49%. I mean, it's crazy. So yeah, stuff like this, I wonder what they're ending up going to find. And let's see here. And we have the bird cough, panic as newer deadly strain emerges, humans at risk of more severe illness. Now, we have talked about a couple of the stories that have come out. There's been a lot of really odd things that have happened over the last couple of years. You guys know I covered when they started putting out in the news quietly that China's crematoriums were filling up again. And you had these stories that really reminded you of 2019. One thing that I would not put past anybody is if this could, the whole thing that happened in 2019 could happen again. People think, oh, that will never work. They'll never do that again. One, there could be a real thing that actually comes out, and by real, I mean real bad. That could be the case. Or if something like that was a practice run to do it over and over and over again every few years, they could do it and really put in a ton of crazy laws that really restrict us, and the people at the very top would be loving it. Because the things that they changed in just a matter of like a year, all of the things that changed around our country and countries across the planet. I mean, every bit of our daily life changed forever. I mean, there's honestly still so many remnants of when we were locked down, like self-checkouts and all of these different changes that people went through. It was crazy how many laws and things that they put in that, and some of them weren't even laws. They were, what do they call that? Directorate or what is that other word for something? It's not a mandate. It was something that basically it's not even a law. It's just like they enforced something that wasn't even put into place. I forgot the word for that. Oh, gosh dang it, I can't remember that word. But as far as this goes, now they keep talking on the low, like back page, about a cough coming, right? Or that this thing is going to get out of crazy, get out of hand. We just covered yesterday, they talked about this whole thing with the zoonotic propensity, and we talked about the DOD, trying to have mobile detectors and things. I'm sorry, you guys, my tooth is killing me. I just want to let you guys know I have an extraction and an implant, and the implant has now started to hurt. So I am so sorry. Every time I talk, it's like it's catching on. I don't know if you've ever had a missing tooth. You have to do an implant. And then the implant has to sit there for like 3 months before they can put the tooth in. And my mouth is still not used to not having a tooth there. And it is so annoying. So I just wanted to be real with you guys. It is absolutely killing me. And I apologize. So it's like it's all you can think about. When it's in your mouth and you're talking, it's like, it's totally screwing me. It screwed me up on that last video too, which I missed things that I wish I would have put in that video. But again, I digress. As far as the cough, let's be real. Nobody wants to be locked down again. But would you put it past them to do it again? Like, many people think that they really could. It wouldn't fly. Like, people wouldn't be locked down. But who was to think that we were all going to get locked down like we did the first time? I can't believe that people didn't revolt, especially with the vague information that we got. And then when people found out that if you go back in time, it was not nearly as bad as they said, they told us so many hundreds of lies. And then, of course, to put a cherry all on the top, when Donald just took place, they basically pardoned all of the people involved in it, which that in itself should show, in my opinion, guilt. It's crazy. Again, the timing of the stuff that comes out the same day that we're reporting that DOGE is going into the headquarters in Atlanta that handles all this stuff. We have this story come out as well. I mean, it's just, the timing is just nuts. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and, look, let's not forget, this is the cause of the massive skyrocketing price of eggs, right? And all of the chicken culling. Well, they're also now obviously saying the dairy cows is what they're talking about here. Specifically, same version, or actually a new version, but the same, general, new strain, I should say, to be technical. But, dairy herds are being hit. Cattle is being hit. So are we going to, a month or 2 or 3 from now, are we going to start to feel, prices of milk, cheese? Are we going to see beef prices start to go through the roof? Because all of a sudden we have this larger outbreak that's affecting those, in addition to the fact that there's the whole human side of it that we got to worry about too.
And of course, as you guys know, one of the goals in the next 5 years is essentially to get rid of meat altogether. I don't know if you've seen some of this crazy stuff. We have not covered it. I didn't know about it until the other day. There's like net zero cows now. Did you know about this? Let me show you a net zero cow. This is to the level of crazy that they're going. Let me pull up DuckDuckGo here. And most of you have probably seen this. Zero cow. And I don't know if this is fully verified. If this is it's definitely real. I don't know how widespread this is. Fed directly into stomach. Yeah, look at this. So I don't even know if this is something that's okay, but look, there's an actual surgical thing that's put in, so they feed the cow straight into the stomach, and all for the environment, right? It's so insane to the steps that they're taking. And they're saying, like, in a few years, our own last president, JB, did a speech and said, in the future, by 2030, 8 ounces of steak, you'll have a monthly limit of like 8 ounces of steak. So say it's a special occasion that month if you want to eat a hamburger, or you get a choice. You either eat a hamburger that month or you eat a steak, right? Or you eat 2 hamburgers and 1 steak. And essentially, in the future, they want to limit all meat. Hence, Gates and all of these other companies, which it's just so crazy. The same people are involved in almost everything that's changing around us, is investing in all of the fake meat. The fake meat made out of bugs and all of this crap is the future. That's what they're telling us. This, I don't know. I guess that's the methane reduction project. So, yeah. Pretty disgusting if you ask me, but what do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments below. As far as this goes, it's going to screw up meat. They've already done the chickens and the eggs. The eggs has caused huge, huge problems because eggs are used in a ton of things. We talked about it the other day. Mayonnaise, pretty much any bakery item, all sorts of things have an egg base. Things that you don't even know about, things that aren't even food related have an egg base. So yeah, very, very, very creepy timing. And before we move on, speaking of creepy timing, make sure to go check out Jace if you have any kind of medical emergency and say there's a situation where the hospitals aren't open or you have a massive natural disaster, something like a Hurricane Katrina or North Carolina, where you can't just go into the ER and get antibiotics. That's where this comes in. Jace is an easy service that you can do from the comfort of your couch. You can get a kit sent right to your door with all of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics. And of course, you can even add on things to it. It'll come in this kit. You can add things like albuterol. You can even add things like what Joe Rogan took during the whole lockdown and what CNN made fun of him for taking, which I believe that thing is, in my opinion, one of the greatest things known to man for everything. But again, there's also something called Jace Daily. Go check that out. If you're a caregiver or if you are dependent on a medication, whether you like to be dependent on it or not, but we have to be real. If something happens tomorrow, the lights go off, and you have no hospitals, the pharmacies are hacked, whatever it may be, this system, you'll actually have a year supply of your medication. That's called Jace Daily. Go check it out. It's basically in bulk, and you'll get it straight to your door. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jace, Jase. And then a section of Dayton, Ohio will be a restricted security zone for NATO assembly. Now, right off the top, I'm sure many people aren't even really looking at this. I want to hear your theories on this. I'm going to pull up chat here in just 2 seconds. I want to hear your theories on this. First thing I thought of, and I'll read you kind of the description of it because it matters in this case. Some downtown businesses in and around the security zone say that they plan to remain open for normal operating hours, even though there will be measures in place to prevent unauthorized access to the NATO area. Remember, this is in Ohio. And again, some confuse this with UN. This is NATO, and it says such as fencing and barriers. They're calling it NATO Village, right? Officials say part of Dayton will be transformed into a NATO Village security zone from Wednesday, May 21st to May 27th. It's an entire week where NATO is getting together in Ohio in the downtown area and talking about who knows what. Dayton is going to welcome about 300 parliamentarians from 32 NATO countries, plus their families, staff, and other officials. International media will also attend, and the total visitor count will exceed 1,200 people. There is also going to be room for plenty of secret meetings between high-ranking officials from 32 countries. What the hell is going on here? And I believe I know why they're not really talking about this, and it's really at the low bottom level, is because they don't want people like me or other, independent media going out there and saying, hey, well, why do we stop here? We're the media. Can we go back there? Who's coming? Who's attending? Is there people that aren't on the NATO list, that aren't even part of NATO, that are going to be coming to this thing? Will you see Mr. Gates there? Will you see other billionaires pop into NATO? Like, again, is Zelensky going to make a guest appearance? Like, what is this thing and why is it happening? I'm sure they're going to give us a forward-facing public view of it, but what's behind the closed doors? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Chris, thank you so much for your support. Jen, Nathaniel Williams, Ashley Tolliver Wilson, Kat, Me Puppet 007, Olga Turan, Matt Burgess, thank you for your support this month. Stephen Click, and of course Neil Nelson. Let's go over to the chat here for a second. I'm going to pop this up. Let's see here. Let's pop open the show. And what do you guys think about and have you heard anything about this? Did you guys know before this show? I would love to hear from you right now. Did you guys know before? 3.1 thousand watching. What are your theories on that? We are going global and we don't even know. S. Nord. Again, yeah, especially a lot of the folks too have been talking about UN. Will UN be there? Like, will we find out that UN and NATO are there, right? Let's see here. Let's go over to some theories here. We got Baron Saturday. Hey, nice to see you. Octop Huru. Smoking Swamp Outdoors. Lone Wolf. Callie, nice to see you. What was war? Call sign Pat25 exist in any database anywhere ever until shortly after the crash. Hey, very crazy comment. Totally related to the story before. But I don't know if that can be verified. If that's verified, wouldn't you think that that's weird? What was war says the call sign Pat25 did not exist in any database anywhere. Supposedly, I don't know. Blue-eyed mule, what is happening? World War III. Johnny Gonzalez, you think NATO is going to be talking about that? UN is building a huge data center in Indiana. Again, I believe we've covered that. Big Chase, yeah. What do you guys think? What are they doing? What is NATO doing in the NATO village? Why are they closing down a chunk of Ohio? It's going to be restricted, gated, fenced off, only authorized personnel, and it's a huge week-long event. What do you think is going to be talked about there? Kathleen Miller says, yes, an outbreak in Ohio, but they don't know what to call it yet. Oh, isn't that just convenient? I think NATO coming here is BS. Dayton has 2 airports, the International Air Force Base. Hey, Marv, I'm in Ohio. Peggy Sue, by the way, if you're locals and you find out more, if you know about that kind of stuff, let me know. Again, if you find out stuff about, your brother works at a cafe that has to close down or something, let me know. Email me, adam@marfooglenews.com, and, of course, CC Dex at marfooglenews.com. Yeah, in Dayton here. I know we have a ton of Ohios. Let me get the OH. So you guys know Ohio is close to my heart. Got family in Ohio. I hope that it doesn't mean anything bad. But also, does that also put a target on Ohio's back? Think about that. Dex, have you thought about that? All of these NATO officials meeting in one place in Ohio? And I feel like Ohio's been in the news a lot lately. Peggy Sue and others, let me know. Have you felt like that too? Like there's been a lot of weird things happening in Ohio, which normally we don't really hear too much about.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this, what goes on there, because it sounds like a pretty big deal from a block off, or, cordon off a 4x4 block in the downtown area.
Well, I guess we will see. Again, thank you, 3,200 watching right now. Appreciate all of you guys. Make sure to go over to our website. You're actually going to see that we have a full list of other stories that, again, these are important, but they're not urgent. So, again, these are things that everybody should go over. You should make sure to go over and check this out. I also just did a survey over on X, and I asked if we had possibly even Foogle fam members write articles, would you read them if we put them over on the website? It would take work to do so, to even get them on there. So again, if you guys would be interested in that, or if you're interested in writing articles for us, let me know. Comment down below, or email us, or again, send us a line. I'm over on X. You could always go over to that X post and just respond plainly, and I'll be able to see it very easily. Again, I hope that all of you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for the support to Didika. Thank you. I believe you are our top supporter tonight. Thank you, new members this week. Again, thank you, Caleb Jade. I appreciate that. Jonathan Fish. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Sheila S. Jesse McClanahan, and Gas Station Sushi, Fab Welder 1, and so many more. Thank you so much for supporting our independent channel. Dex, thank you so much for your service today. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And make sure to go check out the video. I can't call it a short because it wasn't that short, but go check out the video over on Marfoogle news. And make sure to share that out with all of your crazy, kooky friends. All right, you guys, have a great night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro.